welcome.
Hello, friends.
Jess and I are excited to hang out and chat with you guys once again. And this is the gentle reminder, because I think I might have seen it in the chat, that there will be no sprints tonight, for this is AUTHORTUBE Chat, where we just talk and do fun things like that. So welcome. Jessica, how you doing? Chat, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. I'm fresh off of a vacation. And so I'm here. I'm being productive. All of my things are dinging and telling me that you're live right now. Like I wouldn't know.
As if you're not here. Yes.
As if I'm not here, clearly. Anyone who has the bell icon on for both of us just got 2 dings because I'm trying to be consistent. So my Tuesday video goes up at 6:30 so that when AUTHORTUBE Chat's on my channel, it'll be the same time. So they just got hit with a video and a live stream at the same time.
I like that. I went to your channel today to pull the thumbnail or the picture of you for the thumbnail because I have not been on the internet. It's like all of July-ish. And I was looking at it and I was on your channel. I was like, look at her go. It was like, you know, when you go to someone's channel, it's like the first 4 videos like in blocks. And so it was like 2 weeks back or something. And you had like 8 videos. And I was like, damn, Jessica.
I'm being consistent. I'm killing it.
Yes.
Did I repost a video last week because I didn't get one in? Yes.
But you just reread the book recently too. So I
did reread the book recently and it got a new cover. So it felt timely.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see how chat's doing. Kat is early. Hello, welcome. Sam is here.
Ish.
Laura is going to be listening while on the way to Lizelle's signing event. Yay!
Jealous. Absolutely jealous.
Oh, that is so exciting. Rosalind is here. Oh, Rosalind. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, today's chat is just all of the questions. There's not necessarily any rhyme or reason to it because I was supposed to come up with the topic and I decided all topics was my out. So some of these questions were from a questionnaire I did like a year ago. Some of them I asked on Instagram. Rosalind was one of them. How do you find an audience in very specific niches? So we will be covering that later. And by that, I mean chatting together, and hopefully the chat will also let us know their answers. Shay's here. Shay, I think.
Hello.
Hello. Paula, EJ, Lisa, Regina, hi. Charlotte's here. Jessica's also here, in case y'all were not aware. Morgu, Nia, Nixie, Trey Stuff, hello. Welcome. I think I am behind, but it's fine. Mullen, EJ, welcome. Welcome. Hello, everyone. Yay. So glad you all could make it and hang out with us. All the way from Belgium, wherever y'all are at. Amanda, Elizabeth, Nikki, hey. Okay. We'll do a quick reminder because I can see the book just pulled up. We are, for these 2 months, we are reading The Count of Monte Cristo. So it is not today. We're not discussing it today. We are going to be discussing it next month and a week later than usual. So rather than being the 3rd Tuesday of the month, which to be fair, we didn't do it this time either. Well, you know what? This 2-month block is both 4th Tuesdays of the month. You know?
I mean, I was on vacation last week, so this week was clearly the better opportunity. And then next month, there's 5 Thursdays anyway, or Tuesdays. Yeah. There's not 5 Thursdays. There's 5 Tuesdays. So the 4th one's fine.
It feels right. Yeah. And then we will be discussing The Count of Monte Cristo. If you guys have not read it, it is over 1,000 pages, which is very exciting. And it is a classic, and it will be fun.
You say over 1,000 like it's 1,003. It's 1,260 some pages. Mm-hmm. So 1,273.
Right. So it's not just like a little bit. Yeah, that's fair.
She not a little over 1,000. She's 1,025.
Yeah, she is 1,000. She's almost 1,300 words. Geez, pages. Could you imagine? Words might be where we need to get to.
There's just one word on each page.
I would read a book like that.
That would be fantastic.
Let us jump into. I know, JC. You said it will be fun as if you were trying to convince yourself. You know what? You may have completely clocked me correctly. I actually am excited. I have read a couple hundred pages of this book, but it's been a while.
We also should be releasing videos on that day as well. Or maybe
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be day of, maybe before, maybe after. I don't know. We haven't figured that out yet.
We have
but
not.
We're going to have a similar review video. Yeah.
Yes.
A thing.
It will be fun. That is a thing indeed. Oh,
I'm sorry, my chair is so squeaky.
I have a plan is asking if anyone is going to 20 Books Vegas in November. I'd love to hear about people that are. I am not, but I'd love to hear about it.
I don't know what that is.
So there's a book, or there's a community, correct me if I'm wrong, that's like 20 books to 50K. And the theory is if you're self-pub, to get to making 50K a year annually, you need about 20 books. So it's basically, people, you have a pretty big backlist. And so the backlist is constantly making you money. When you have a new book out, that also kind of boosts the backlist. That's the philosophy. I'm sure someone in the group could explain it a little bit better. Holy shit, 464,162 words. It's fine. We're excited. Oh, and it is worth noticing that there are different copies as well.
Yes,
so
indeed.
I think we both have the exact same book. So
I bought the one that I looked at and went, I think that's the one Kate has, and bought that one.
That's good. So we will be on top of this. It's gonna be great. I'm excited.
It was more because like I was buying it online, and a lot of like comments on different versions will be like, this version's crap, don't buy this version. And I knew you had yours for a while, so I was like, I think that's the one that Kate has, and she didn't say it was terrible, so I should go with that.
I think this is also the one that way back when Becca recommended to me, which Becca is in the chat. Hi, Becca. I think other people were recommending it because it's like the unabbreviated or unabridged or whatever version.
Yeah, it's the unabridged version.
So it is quite chunky at times. Becca and I did talk about this when we were at Comic-Con, and she said there was one little subplot that she was not quite into that lasted a bit, but we will find out when we get there.
I'm dying at Mullins. The original French was like 1,800 pages and in 6 volumes.
Yeah, so Becca told me that originally, they're getting paid by the word or by the installment. Like it was so yeah, I understand it being a little bit chunkier.
It was like a Kindle Vella situation. You got paid per issue.
Yeah, exactly. Do it, Elizabeth. I know we're really selling it. I am excited. It's like a classic adventure story, classic
revenge.
Classic
tale of revenge.
You love revenge.
Will I make it? I don't know.
Yes, we will. We'll make it. Okay, so I have pulled 20 questions. Some of them did come from Instagram today, some of them from before. Precious Jess has no idea what these questions are, so she's going to be answering on the fly. That said, even though I transcribed them, did I check to come up with an answer? No. So really, we're in the same boat as you, chat. And the fun part about this, of course, is that I think we learned just as much from the chat as Jess and I discussing it. So I'm excited to hear y'all's opinions and y'all's experience. So Jessica, are you ready to get to the first question?
Yes.
Yes. What is your favorite item in your writer's toolkit? You can only pick one. Chat, what's your favorite item in your writer's toolkit? Is that sticky notes? Of course it is.
Post-it notes.
Oh,
use them for everything.
That's a good one. And you have used them for quite some time too. Because I feel like is that right? Because when we met back on AuthorTube way back when, AuthorTube, I think
I mean, to be fair, I use them in conjunction with note cards, so like they're kind of
Yeah.
a together deal. But yes, I think that is like, I mean, because I'm saying like a writer's toolkit should not, like, if we're looking at a writer's toolkit, a favorite item, I wouldn't want to say like a specific like notebook or a pen, because I feel like like that's a given. Like you don't you don't have to have a notebook and a pen. You could use a computer. But I feel like a notebook and a pen is like you're probably going to need that. So like
Right.
what's the thing outside of like your computer, your notebook, your pen?
Right.
What after that is your favorite item? And for
Yeah.
me, it's the Posty Notey.
The Posty Notey. Indeed. I like it. There's a lot of people who are saying Post-it notes.
Yeah.
And I like seeing the Mullen, my procrastination skill. It is, I don't know if it's my favorite part of my toolkit, but it is certainly ever present.
The clickety clacks, these things.
Oh, that is true. Oh, that might be my answer. I was going to say like almost like a Google Sheets or something to keep track of the timeline, since we all know I'm terrible with timelines. So I was like, that has to be the thing that I need.
Not that she's having a signing tonight, but have you watched Lizelle's video on, is it Plotter?
I've not yet. Oh,
You need to watch it because she does like a big overview of like a timeline feature with like different plots and subplots and being able to put them all in the timeline. And I was watching it and I was like, Kate needs this. I mean, I need it too. But as I was watching it, I was like,
you're
Kate
like, you know who really needs this?
You know who really needs this?
Yes.
Catherine. That's it.
Yes. My glasses. My never-ending overthinking. Yes. Okay, other people also love that video. I do agree. I think also, I guess now, this is really, I don't know that, I feel like I'm choosing things that are like not things I want, but things I need.
I mean, you need to have that.
I need it. It is part of the toolkit. Okay.
I mean, I do agree. I also need like an external keyboard. I can write with a laptop. I mean, I wrote 20,000 words in the cabin in the middle of the woods this weekend. Technically, probably only like 10,000, and the other 10 were like copy paste. So I can do it, but like, yeah, I want my external keyboard too. I feel that.
Oh my God, I didn't know you wrote that many words.
I could tell you where I'm at for sure, for real. It's not that it's the question, but
it's part of the
currently it's a little over 25,000. So of the rewrite,
it sounds like you will be ready for when we do exchange again.
We need to exchange on September 1st ish.
Yeah. Ish.
This is me catching up Kate with all of the things that are going on because she never answers my messages back. So in case anyone wonders what the first 20 minutes of these live streams are, it's me going, Kate, do you remember all the things that we haven't talked about? Here they are.
Here they are. Yes, September 1st-ish. I'm ready. Yeah, also saying mechanical keyboards. I can write on the iPad or laptop without. Oh, I've never even attempted to write on the iPad.
Ooh.
I might want to try because, you know, for flights and stuff, my laptop is just like a smidge too big to be comfortable. So I'm almost thinking, you know, and it's not as heavy, the iPad. So maybe. Anyways, okay, on to the next question. What was the most impactful change you made in your life routine habits that allowed you to write more successfully? The most impactful change.
Joining AuthorTube, I would say, probably. Because before, I mean, I would write, but like, let's say a decade ago, I remember it was a May. I don't know what day in May, but I know it was May. And I had written like a little over 10,000 words in that month. And like, I was so excited because it was the first time I'd ever written more than 10,000 words in a month. And like, since joining AuthorTube, I'm not saying that I regularly have months where I write 10,000 words in a month, because I sure don't. But Like, I was on vacation for 4 days and I wrote 10,000 words in 4 days.
Yeah.
I've written another 5 since then. Like, so I think that was probably allowed me to write more successfully, is joining the community itself and having other people around me who push me to be better.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good one, because I do think also, I mean, this is the thing, AuthorTube, like any part of YouTube, is a huge distraction if you let it be, or just like a nice relaxing thing. But I feel like I've learned so much from it, and seeing what works for other people, and different tools that I've seen on someone else's videos, like you were talking about Lizelle's plotter one, that I'm like, oh my God, this would help me so much, that I wouldn't have discovered were not for AuthorTube. Yeah. And just having friends that are also writers and like checking in with them. That helps a lot. And being like, I'm not the only one who's experiencing this thing, because, you know, you're really not.
Yeah.
Regina.
Together.
Yes. I immediately had High School Musicals. We're all in this together. Pop into
Every
my
time.
head. Every time. Regina, I retired from the day job and put a sister in a nursing home. Yep, that did it. Yeah. Big life changes. I realized I couldn't write full-time and work full-time. I think a lot of the epiphanies sometimes are like realizing that you're overworking yourself, and it's just like not sustainable.
Correct.
Reminding myself that feedback helps, not hurts. I often beat myself up getting negative feedback, but it should help me improve rather than hold me back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Finding writer friends, AuthorTube. I think that goes into just like community in general. Keeping my weekends writing free. That's a nice one. Realizing that like not every day has to be. I think that's helped me in some ways too, where I do, like, if I want to write on the weekend, I can and I will sometimes, but like I don't plan my goals around having written on the weekends. Like I skip those in my planning. I'm just like, nah.
Yeah, some of us only have the weekend, so.
Or vice versa. Yeah, for sure. Having kids and deciding I wanted them to see their mom doing what she loved, not working an artisan job for minimum pay. Oh, that's nice.
It's fantastic.
Most impactful change came for me when I started using word sprints. During streams in a Facebook group, and then started doing them. That's a great point too. So I first did word sprints back when I was in a NaNoWriMo group in college. And we do them like in person, but having found the virtual ones and that becoming such a huge thing has been incredibly helpful.
I even do really well like on Discord when we just do like run sprints in Discord. I do just as good, if not better, than I do during a live stream. So
yeah. Well, that's what, even I'll set a timer on myself sometimes. Like when I'll do the little stair step method thing, and that helps me so much, just be like, focus time. You know, when you have the entire internet at your disposal, it can be really tough. It can be very distracting. I don't know if y'all realize.
How did you end up on a downward spiral into Pinterest looking at how to make orange sherbet inside of an orange? Don't know.
But I'm here.
Don't like oranges, but okay.
I quit my toxic job and I'm writing when I feel good. The first time I won Nano, I remember being like, I want to write. And though with breaks, I've continued to write.
That's fantastic too.
Yeah, I do think that the minute you, whether that's finishing, like winning NaNoWriMo or finishing the first draft of your first story, there's something that unlocks in your brain that's like, not only could I do this again, but I also think that it's like a high that you're always chasing in some ways, because you're like, I want to feel that way again. I want to accomplish.
You get the taste of success and you want to keep getting the taste of success. You want it again.
Yes. More and more really realizing that I'm getting older, nearly 26, and I'm not wanting to die with dreams unfinished.
Listen, you're a baby. It's fine.
You are.
I'm dying on the inside. Older.
But I think it's a valid thing to be, you get to a point where you're like, wait a second, if I want to accomplish this thing before I die, I gotta start doing it now, because you don't know when it's gonna be. If the morbid motivates you, then that's
the morbidity should motivate you. but it also hurts my feelings.
I was gonna
So
say, if you get a thought spiral about it, like I might be want to do, then it would not be helpful. But I remember reading some of my sister's writing, and I just had this thought that I wanted to be like her. Oh, entering the world of fanfic. Yeah. That was a similar thing where it's like my favorite author. I was like, ooh, I do want to, I want to be like them. I want to write the stories that they do. I don't have YouTube open. I have just the chat popped out, but is anyone else getting an echo?
I turned my volume down, so there should be less pickup in the microphone. But if you guys are still hearing an echo and it's really bad, let me know, and I'll put headphones on. It's usually me. I don't know. Since I got this new computer, it echoes. I mean, as you learned when we got online, I couldn't hear anything. So
Yeah. That's technology is just betraying us. It's still not as bad as the one time that my mic was picking up from an entirely different room for some reason that I could not explain. So,
or the alien spaceship.
Or the alien spaceship.
It's fine.
Making my words less precious, admitting to myself that my words would suck at first, and that's okay. Absolutely. Do people have favorite characters out of the ones they've written? Jess, do you have a favorite character of the ones you've written?
I do have a favorite character of all the characters I've written. I think we've talked about him before. It's from my adult high fantasy series, and it's a character that I never get to write while he's alive.
Oh,
It is the father of the main character, and he is dead when we start our story, but he is my favorite character.
I love that. I have thought about, I saw someone's comment that hasn't popped up yet on StreamYard. Mullen, the way I gasped and immediately thought about my favorite. Tell us about them, Mullen. I always feel like in some ways the main character that I'm currently writing is my favorite, but actually I think I always have a side character as my favorite. Kind of similar to books I'm reading too, where I'm like, I don't know that it's always the comedy relief character, but it's a character that we're like not living with quite as much because you can just have a little bit more fun with them, I think, sometimes.
I just think like sometimes it's more about the characters serving the purpose they're supposed to serve. And like, he's the only one that doesn't fight me. Like, he does his job. He did it well. And now we get to move on. Do I, in my brain, have ideas for like novellas to write when he's still alive? Yes. But currently, I can't even write the actual story. So
that's a great point, though, about them not fighting you. Or sometimes it's like the character is like born on the page and they fully understand their assignment and they're okay with it. I know we create all the things and it's all us in our head, but sometimes the characters do want to just like not do, or your brain doesn't want to do what it's supposed to do for the story. So it's nice when you do have those who are just like, yes, I am here. I got you. She was my fanfic RP character. I invested a lot of time in being in her head. Romance peeps, but I adore my vampires and aliens. Get some supernatural in there. Their name is Maros, and he's from my D&D campaign. I do think some of it also, I'm seeing a trend is like some that you might have lived with for a really long time. My main character, Jonathan, he's in every way a representation of my views and morals. I use him as a way to explore experiences and ideas. He's also, that's interesting. I don't think I've ever had a character that I thought of necessarily as like fully myself getting to explore experiences and ideas, but I think I do live vicariously through characters sometimes, like making them have a job that I was interested in, but like, never could have gone down that path. Oh, standalone series. It was going to be a standalone. That's it. Then I found my favorite character was a side character, and now I'm plotting his book.
Yes.
Those are the best characters.
Love it.
Kaz was my favorite. She's a demon sent undercover to protect my main character, who's just the most badass ever. I'm all about
here for it.
Yes.
Here for it.
Amani, my favorite. She's funny and spunky and headstrong. That's what we like him to be. I'm writing a hockey enemies to lovers by Belka, the trans boy main character, and my side characters are my fave. They crack me up.
I love a funny character too.
Yes. But I do love writing snarky assholes. They make me chuckle, and it's cathartic. That's a good point about living vicariously through them too.
That must be why Becca's my friend, because she can just mine all of her content from me. I need a snarky asshole comment. What did Jessica say last week?
The main character of my current middle grade is basically me as a 10-year-old. So yeah, I love her. Oh, that's nice too. It's almost living through in reverse, where you're like, I get to re-experience life through the eyes of like a younger me.
In a much healthier way than forcing your children to live your life.
Yes. Much healthier. A quick one. Can you write with people you know around you? The person was saying it distracts them too much. Strangers in a coffee shop or a library are fine, but people that you know.
Yes.
No worries.
Whatever.
See,
I'm writing what I'm writing. It doesn't matter.
When I was in in-person writing groups, I was always down to like, I could always do the writing, but I would always like close my laptop when I went to the bathroom, or like I always felt it was like a little bit weird if someone was like, you know, you're there over your shoulder and talking, you're like whatever, or standing behind you and talking to someone else. I was always just like, just move the screen down a bit. So I did always feel a little bit uncomfortable.
I mean,
not so much, but
we definitely last week were just like the four of us sitting at the kitchen table all writing together, and I'm sure I got up 1.5 million times to go do something and just left all of my stuff like there and
right
open
there.
and whatever. So
I wonder if it's a comfort thing too, though. Maybe I just wasn't as comfortable with them, so that like, oh, when I get the chance to meet you, to be fair, you'll have read the stories, so it won't matter if you're like, let me see what she's doing. But as long as they don't look, I write around my family and fiance all the time. If they aren't looking and aren't paying attention to me, yeah, but we tend to talk for an hour or two beforehand. Okay. A lot of people saying like, as long as they don't make too much noise. They don't even know I write. Ooh. That's how I was in high school. Actually, my family knew, but my friends not so much. So privacy screen shields. I'm
gonna need some of those.
No. I know 2 people who can be present in the room while I write. Hell yeah. Only if they're also a writer. That's an interesting distinction.
I think that's an interesting way because of, like, you can expect a writer to read something that you've written and for them to not maybe judge it as harshly because they're, because they might know, oh, well, this is only a first draft and I've seen my own first drafts and they're absolute crap. Whereas if it's someone who's just like a casual reader or doesn't read at all, they might look at a first draft and be like, wow, this is terrible, because they don't see the work that goes into a finished work.
I have found it's an interesting spectrum because people who don't read at all and also don't write, I think not that they're like easily impressed, but I do think that it's like they're not as harsh either, because in their mind, they're like, I could never write a book. So the fact that you're doing it at all, I feel like it's the people who read a lot but don't write at all that are like super harsh because all they've read is finished works. And if they have no desire to do it themselves, they never would have tried and seen how difficult it can be. Writing in my spexy genre at my lunch hour at work can get awkward. Lots of people suspiciously lure on my desk and laptop. You were on high alert then, for sure. Agree with Jess, which is funny because as a designer, it's the opposite of my day job, where other designers will judge the crap out of your work because they know better.
I mean, I'm not saying I don't read books and go, wow, this is crap, because I absolutely do. But it's a matter of opinion. I don't say, like, I hate this person and they should go die in a fiery motorcycle crash. I just say, I don't like this book.
Yeah.
It's not for me. So
I was able to write at the Wonder Writers Retreat, so it doesn't really matter unless I'm in a procrastination mood and want to socialize with people.
Yeah. That's a good point. Kate, were you able to write when you were there?
A little bit. There was like one day on that writer's retreat that I got a lot of words, but otherwise it's just, I think writer's retreats are so interesting because it's like the people that you want to hang out with, but you're also actually there to get work done. And there's a balance to it that I don't know that I pulled off on my first retreat. So
Me neither, but I think the second one went well, and I think the third one's going to go well too. So we
yeah,
learn more as we go.
it is. And you learn, about what to expect of yourself too. I guess that's true of everything. Let's see. Okay. This is a doc question. What's been the darkest moment of doubt you've had in your writing career? A moment you might have questioned your skills or debated quitting. Have you ever debated quitting, Jessica?
Like once a month.
Uh,
But to be fair, I have depression and anxiety, and so like I question quitting life sometimes. So quitting writing is not really my darkest moment.
right.
It's not.
I don't know if I've ever debated quitting, but I've definitely had stretches where I don't write anything. And like the thought of getting back into it is like, meh. But then I always come back. So I am trying to think, right? It just is so like innately. There's actually a question we'll get to in a moment that's a piggyback off of that one. But I'm trying to think of my darkest moment. I want to say there was a stretch of time, I think, when I like failed a NaNoWriMo, but I'd also failed to hit like a couple goals all around that time period. And that one was demoralizing. And for the record, I have only won NaNoWriMo like half the times I've participated. So, but I think there was a stretch of like 6 months where it was just like every goal I set. And it took me a while to realize that I was just not setting realistic goals. But the bummer of a feeling gets you.
I've definitely like had moments or weeks, months where I don't touch anything and I'm just like, it's fine. If I never touch it again, it's fine. I don't care. I've got other things going on. I have other things I care about.
Yeah.
And like it's not ever going to go anywhere anyway, so it doesn't matter. I just do it for fun. And then 6 months later it'll be like, you know what? I'll write my story some more. Let's get back into it. And then you get back into it.
Yeah. Becca, I've never thought of quitting, but I have thought about keeping all my writing private.
It's too late for you. There's a lot of it out in the world.
There are multiple books.
Too late
but
for you.
I can see that.
Yes.
Just being like, the act of writing is a completely different thing than the act of publishing, and then the act of trying to like market that publishing after. Like they're all very different people or hats you have to wear in some instances. So I can never imagine really quitting writing, but I can imagine being like, you know what? This publishing game is not worth it. I'm happy with my story. So I could see that. RA, I did quit in the early thousands. I felt that my work needed to be self-pub, but there was really no avenue to do so. Like today, I pretty much stopped writing until about 5 years ago. I am very glad just generally that's changed, but that you felt comfortable.
Come back around.
Mm-hmm. Whenever I thought about quitting, it was never really about my lack of belief in my writing, but because I was in a bout of depression. That was right before I found AuthorTube. Yes. We are very happy to have you in this community. Let's see. Okay, we'll lump this one into just generally for those of you who have been on or around the AuthorTube community. Have you had moments of wanting to quit no writing sense, or does it help you keep on track? Is it a similar thing where it's just like life gets in the way and then it's not? Yeah.
I don't think there's anything about AuthorTube that has ever made me want to quit.
Yeah.
I don't know that it all. I mean, it definitely keeps me. I don't want to say it keeps me on track, but it makes me productive sometimes when I don't necessarily want to be.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think there's any aspect of it that's ever made me want to quit.
Right. So. And while being a part of the community, the only times you've had dips was more life
related. Yeah.
Yeah. Makes me want to write more, actually. I think so too. AuthorTube's helped me so much. Yeah. See, okay, let me see if I can find the question that was similar to, see, this is the problem with the 20 questions that I selected, is that there's 20. Oh no, panic. All right, well, we'll just move on and I'll just lump it back. Let's see. Jessica, I think I might know this answer. Oh, what's something you want to write that isn't considered publishable by the trad pub market? I'm sure this is only applicable for those who want to go trad pub, but if actually you wanted to go trad pub but couldn't because there wasn't a publishable market, then feel free to answer too. It's Jess.
Do I have anything that's not publishable by the traditional publishing market?
I don't think you really do. I think it would be more...
Me casually showing things that are spicy in the chat. I think the only thing that I have, and you can, correct me if I am wrong, but I think what we've discussed before is not a need to self-publish, but a want to self-publish, and that is my series, my adult high fantasy. Not because I don't think it's publishable traditionally, but because I want to be in control. I want to have all the control on that series in particular. Other series I can bend to the whims of the publishing market.
Right.
But for that series in particular, I want it to be exactly what I want it to be, and I don't care how the publishing houses feel about it.
Yeah. No, that's a great answer. I'm with Miranda. New adult as a whole. The first book that I was ever completely finished, well, the draft up, was a new adult fantasy superhero-esque, and that is just like not a no, but just not really publishable in TradPub.
Which is so weird because you're alienating an entire generation of people. Like,
I know. And I know
like
that they blame it on the bookstores, but like if they made it a thing, it would be a thing.
Your choices are you can read books for 8-year-olds, books for 14-year-olds, or books for women in their 40s who are married and have children and their life is all about how to be a good wife and a good mother. Those of us who are between 16 and 44 got shit.
I do. I feel like there is such a gap. Yeah. Where it's like, there's just some new adult. People want it. And that's fine. It's always fun when you know someone or you see someone else with a name that you're like, I knew a person. It's not, but
I also always thought that when they changed teen to young adult, because that was in our time period, yes, they changed teen to young adult, and I thought young adult was new and that it was for people in my age bracket because I was like 18 at the time. So I thought that young adult was like for the new adult. Like I thought it was like the 18 to 22 because that's when you're a young adult. You're not a young adult at 16. You're a teenager. You are not an adult. You legally cannot smoke cigarettes, drink beer, buy alcohol, drive a car, to some states. You can't sign up for the military. You can't vote. Like, you are not an adult at 16. Young adult you should not quantify in that category of people. So.
I do remember, I feel like you unlocked a memory for me where in the bookstores it did used to say teen. And then they did switch over to YA. And then like it was like kids, teen, everything else. And now, yeah, make it make sense. Oh, I also read more middle grade than adult now that I'm over 40. I know that's, yeah, we're all reading everything. But
I read more middle grade than anything too. I mean, more adult and middle grade now, but I've been reading a lot more mystery thrillers. So
yeah, I do think Victoria makes a good point that I've seen a lot is that lower YA. People have been complaining about that for years, but I haven't seen anyone actually like do much to change that. Like middle grade is still, it is like booming and it's great, but there are some lower YA that's like just a step above that, but not quite the YA as of now. Well, as TBIFO is not publishable because it's just vibes. I felt when Big My Sister Smile could exactly market that for a wide audience. I still love that so much.
We don't know. Kate and I will tell you soon if we think it's publishable or not.
Right. We may say we are the market.
We are the. Do you see the bookshelves behind us? We are the fucking market.
We are the market.
We are the market.
Tell you. We'll speak as a whole for the people.
I literally throw my money into the cesspool pit of publishing on the regular basis. Give me what I fucking want.
Give it. And you know what I want, Wallace? It is vibes.
It is all the vibes.
Okay. How do you
Somehow that question made me very angry.
So we're pivoting. How do you schedule deadlines that are realistic and motivating? And for the record, if someone can perfectly figure this out for me, I will owe you a great debt of gratitude.
I don't schedule deadlines. They get scheduled for me. Yeah. Wallace says, we're going to have a writing retreat in October and you need to have your book finished by then. And also you should have already shared it with your CP. So I go, okay, I guess that means that my deadline is the beginning-ish of September.
We're ready.
They're planned for me.
That's true. I do like that. I did find it helpful, even though Jess and I did move our first deadline. I did find it helpful to have someone that I was like, I'm immediately giving it to them on this date. And that like, I need to get it to her by then. Otherwise I'm failing her. Like making it not about me has been helpful because sometimes I like the flexibility in being able to move around my deadlines, but ultimately that then makes them not good as deadlines. They're not doing their job.
If you want to set a realistic deadline, the best way that I have found is the way that Sarah Cannon does it. And that is basically like, look at a calendar, know yourself, know about how much writing you're able to get done in a week's time. Look at a calendar, mark off all of the days that you're actually not, you're not going to write. You know, if there's a holiday or a vacation or whatever, mark off all the days you know you're not going to write. Do the math, figure out how many days it's going to take you to write 70,000 words, count them out, give yourself a couple of grace days. That should be your deadline.
I have been trying to incorporate a version of that. It has taken me, I want to say, my entire AuthorTube career existence to figure out what knowing myself in those terms mean, though. And so it's one of those where like that's the hard part and not done without trial and error, I feel like. So now I can be like, okay, I don't count weekends. I'm just scratching those days off. I know that I'll need to scratch off like 4 days around my period because it's not going to happen. And I know that I need to so I slowly have gotten there and then can figure out about how many words I write, but it's still like, it took a while to get to there. So people are all on the HB90.
It's fantastic.
Wallace's thematic deadline.
I think Wallace's whole life is just vibes.
I was about to say, I've never heard a more Wallace statement. Like, that's amazing.
Yes, it's very, very Wallace-esque. And I love her for it.
Yes. And Regina, I've not yet mastered realistic deadlines. The ones that work are from my editor. So it's like an external source that you're also paying. I think when you have money involved, you're like, well, I better get it
money
done.
Involved is different.
Yes.
Someone putting their thumb on you.
Yes.
If you have a friend that will like pester you and like good-heartedly pester you, and you could say, if I was like, Kate, I need you, except it wouldn't be you because you would never contact me. I would have to find somebody else. But I could say, Kate, I need to have this written by this day, and I'm going to let you read it. Bother me every day until you get it, because it's going to make me want to have it done so that you can have it. Otherwise, you're going to pester me, and I'm not going to want you to pester me.
It is like a buddy system that you could come up with. I know that during some of the write-a-thons, people have been doing the thing where they share how many words they get during each of the sprints, or each streams and stuff like that. I know the Troublemakers had a really cool setup for tracking everything. And I know people have been doing that. Like, that's a really cool way of, the accountability buddies during that weekend, and just in general, if you wanted to do a whole month, if you wanted to do it over the course of a whole year or whatever.
If you need accountability buddies, we do accountability almost every week on Friday mornings on the Troublemaker channel. And by we, I mean not me. I mean, I'm there, but in chat. But yeah, accountability buddies. We have a spreadsheet. We fill out what our goals are for the week. And then at the end of the day, on Friday, we go through and Katie gives us weird GIFs on the screen. I don't think it's a GIF if it's on a screen. You know what I mean? It's a video.
No, I think that's amazing. I am here for.
I sound like a 94-year-old woman trying to explain the internet right now, and I am loving that for me.
That's okay. Anytime I talk about TikTok, it's the same. I'm just like, I don't understand anything. It's gonna be talking. I'm just like, you hear yourself and you're like, oh no, is this the sign? You're like, okay, I need to stop.
Is this how this works?
Arsino, I don't do deadlines. I think that's a great point, that deadlines may not be helpful for everyone, period, but also may not be helpful for everyone, like, at certain times. Like, when I was talking earlier about the time that I felt the worst was because I kept setting these deadlines because I didn't know how to set appropriate deadlines and was like failing them. And it made me feel really bad. If I just not set the deadline, I bet I would have been more productive too, because I wouldn't have been freaking out. So that said, if you're still trying to get to know yourself, maybe deadlines aren't the time. I know we need people went in on the accountability buddies, and Jessica with the Troublemakers link. Heck yes. Let's see. Regina mentioned
Nobody
this.
tell Wallace.
How has the pandemic influenced your stories? I will also add the addendum. How has it influenced your writing life in general? If you just discovered AuthorTube, or you just discovered writing sprints, or whatever, I'd love to hear about that as well.
I've got nothing.
How it's affected?
It hasn't affected my writing. I don't think it's affected how I write my stories. I don't think it's affected anything for me personally.
You know, what's funny is I think besides getting more writing friends, I think, and more of like an influx into AuthorTube or like Twitch, I don't know that it's affected mine either, and it hasn't affected how I write stories. I do think it's interesting when I watch TV sometimes and I see them in like a crowded area without masks. It makes me do like oh yeah, this is like like one of those moments. But other than that, I don't know. Scarlett,
well, I think for the two of us, you who worked from home to begin with, and me who is technically considered essential worker, like we both we're still doing the same thing. I mean, just going out less, but still doing the same work every day. So I don't think it really changed a whole lot for us. You just got less coffee shop dates with yourself.
I did, which was upsetting, but in the grand scheme, certainly not that bad. I used the pandemic to finally go from I really want to write a book to I'm gonna write this damn book. I like that. Yes. I don't go out anymore, really, so I have more time to write, but it hasn't influenced any actual stories. More time to work from home, more time to work on things. It's really this time element. When I got the vaccine, I quit my job, packed up my car, and went to go write in a cabin for it.
Jealous.
I like that. I participated in the Worldwide Write-a-thon because of the pandemic. That's how I met Katie, Devasia, and Stieg, and literally their spirits will be imprinted on every story I ever write from now on. Oh my God.
I told you, Wallace's vibes, man.
I feel like you need to print that out on a card and like send it to them. I'm sure you already tell them, but
she does.
Yeah. I have no clue how to write about elementary school in a pandemic because I didn't through it. Oh, that's yeah. The world has changed. Finding AuthorTube and me realize that sprints are very helpful for me. Yeah. Ooh, it made it harder to write since stress at work was way up. That is a great point. Yeah, the collective stress of it all has definitely affected. What were those movies that came out that were like the rom-coms based in a pandemic? I'm sure those people were affected greatly by it. They got some inspiration. This one, Jess, I'm going to send over to you. How do you develop an AuthorTube channel while writing and working full time? And if you want to, if you're not doing on AuthorTube, maybe you're doing another social media that you're really present on or something.
I think the answer is that in the beginning, way back at the beginning of time, 5.5 years ago, I wasn't actually writing very much. And I started a YouTube channel to start a booktube channel. And then I found writer friends, and I was like, whoa, writer friends, I can now write. And then there's been ebbs and flows. Sometimes the AuthorTube channel suffers, sometimes the writing suffers, sometimes my actual real day job suffers. Don't tell my boss that. It just, I think the best thing to do is not overwork yourself, not overdo yourself. Don't stress, because I'm here to tell you, like, this was my year of no stress, except it didn't work out that way. I've had more stress this year than any other year, but because I started off the year going, I don't care, I'll either get it done or I won't. I've been able to get more done because I'm not stressing about what I'm not getting done.
Yeah.
So I like going in knowing that you're never going to do everything that you have planned, and you're never going to make all of your deadlines, and you're never going to be able to do all of the things, helps you get more of the things done, which is weird, but
yeah. I think no self-imposed stress over the things. Like at the end of the day, not posting an AuthorTube video on the day you'd wanted to is like not that big of a deal.
that's when you download one from 5 years ago and re-upload it.
Jess has the tricks. Yeah.
Secret trick.
I feel like I also learned that with my break I did in January from AuthorTube stuff, or like since my AuthorTube channel and the writing is like folded in on my full-time stuff, still realizing that I also have the ebbs and flows where when one thing's going really well, the other thing's not getting as much done, and vice versa. And you just accept that that's what's going to happen sometimes. So I think Miranda has a great point about you got to be clear on what you want from the channel. Is it community? Is it audience? And that will help you figure it out.
Absolutely.
Different goals. Yes.
Absolutely.
I like to see it as not having to find time, but making the time by decreasing the time I spend on entertainment. I work full time and have disabilities, so I do have to be realistic. Yes. Figuring out what is realistic. I started as a fun side thing. I think the key here also is starting it as a fun thing, and that'll help. I started as a fun side thing for when I was writing or doing homework and playing video games. I was able to incorporate the two. I just don't expect to blow up. I'm enjoying the process for sure.
I also, to this day, I mean, is my channel monetized? Yes. Do I make a lot of money from YouTube? No. Like, I would say I've probably never made more than $300 a year off of YouTube. So, like, I'm not raking in the dollars, basically. I do this for the community and for, like, it's also like it's a way to listen to yourself talk, I guess. It's a way to have somebody to talk to that's actually listening, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it's for fun. It's not like I'm not doing this for my livelihood. I'm not doing this for like to be popular.
Yeah.
I wish my hair was down so I could throw it over my shoulder, but it's not. So
that does remind me though, completely unrelated to the question, but I have had a couple times when I've been in the middle of a vlog talking about something and something about audibly speaking the problem out loud, I immediately solved it. Like something that was plaguing me for weeks. And I was just like, I got to talk about this problem. And then all of a sudden I was like, well, there's no video anymore because I figured it out. Like that's all it took. It's so weird sometimes. I've thrown my weight behind AuthorTube and just have realized it's not targeting my market. So I wonder if I'll need to pivot or have two channels, which sounds exhausting. I think that does go back to you got to know what you want from it.
I don't think that there is a market. How do I want to say this? I don't think that AuthorTube is where you go if you're trying to get readers. It's not the answer. Like, your readers are reading. They're not here watching us talk about our writing processes.
Yeah. And of
So,
course, other writers do read, but also they're
but if
really
you're
not
like here
important.
primarily to like make it big on YouTube and have a lot of readers built into that, it's not gonna work for you. Or at least I don't expect it to. It might. I don't know. I don't know your life.
Yeah, or if you're writing nonfiction about how to write a book, then maybe it is your target market. Like, then it might be. Who knows? Oh, my market is erotica readers. My trouble as a writer are unique. Oh, that's very interesting.
That is a very Facebook forward community. That's where Facebook is weirdly like romance and erotica strictly. Like, you can put like an ad on there and just sell boat tons of stuff. Boat tons.
Oh, Arsenal, I've always thought about starting one, but I don't think there's anything I could contribute to the community that hasn't already been done.
That's not true because no one is you.
I do have this with other communities too, though, Arsino. So it's like I get where that is. Sometimes I'm like, I want to start this, but also like, do I just like watching it and like enjoying from afar? Like the idea of starting, because I know what amount of work goes into doing it. Sometimes I'm like, it's not worth it. It's okay. I'd rather. And having said that, you can make it as much or as little work as you want to. Like you can film on your phone and just upload all in one take. There's a bunch of people who still do that. So it doesn't have to be an elaborate thing.
I don't edit very elaborately either, so. Boat tons. Never used boat tons before in my life, but now I'm going to use it forever.
Why
Boat
is it
tons.
that it's always on stream that you end up saying a word that you're like, when have I ever used that word before?
Because I have social anxiety, and when I start talking, words just fall out.
Yeah. Well, that's why I know you don't drink. It's like, well, just a little bit of wine.
Just have some Diet Coke over here.
Yeah. Let's see. You know what? We'll piggyback off of that one. How much info about your story is the right amount to share with your audience or family and friends? Like, do you have different things you tell different people, and how much do you usually tell people?
I don't. I mean, not that I don't tell people. I don't know. I'm writing a book. I'll tell anybody the same amount of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, right now I'm writing a book that I like to laugh at and call French Grim Reaper because it's the Anku's curse. It's not set in France, and the Grim Reaper is not actually the bad guy. And it's a YA, and it involves death omens.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
I feel like I do the same thing. You know what the real issue is when people ask me what I'm writing, I stick with like genre and one trope maybe. Then I'll get that out. Usually I'm like, oh, I'm writing a cozy mystery set in blah blah blah. Or like blah 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 is a twist. Like you get like two things and then I don't elaborate, because the thing I found about an AuthorTube channel is that I can just talk, and like I try and edit myself down, but I'll just talk. And you can't just talk with people, and you can, but like I don't need a captive audience in that way. I don't want to don't want to hold
Also,
it.
I'm not here to give out my plot. You got to buy the book for that. Gosh.
That's true too. I wish I knew the answer to this question. I'm usually pretty vague because I realize when I say it, I won't write the thing. Like I freak myself out by sharing it too much.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I have a similar-ish, like a cousin of an issue to this, where I don't always have it figured out at the zero draft, first draft level. So I'll tell someone about the story, and then by the time I'm like getting to the end of the book, like the fifth draft, they're like, "Oh, is this thing?" Like, no, where did you get that? And they're like, "Well, you told me," and I'm like, "Oh, that it was that years ago, but now it's this," and so. I usually try to wait to tell people things until I'm like 2 drafts in, where I'm like, okay, I know what this story's about now.
Now that we've completely changed our entire draft, let me tell you some things.
We know. The main plot is very vague when I tell people. I'm writing a cozy murder mystery set in my hometown in 1952. Yeah. Yeah, my toxic drink is the answer to this question is as little as humanly possible. For real, though. Yeah. When I tell people I read horror, you usually get, oh, no further questions. That's going to be the trick. And the issue is until you find someone who actually loves horror, and then they're like, oh my God, another one.
When I hear you write horror, I want to know, is it like more psychological or more gory?
Yeah.
Blood and guts horror. Because I'm not a blood and guts horror girl, but I am a psychological horror girl. And I would like to know before we get there.
Yes. Avion, I feel like this is the best way to answer this question, and I really do need to figure out my if X meets Y and blah, blah, blah situation, but comps help me. Like my YA fantasy is if Gossip Girl were anime, which also, hell yeah. Okay, we are going to go to this one. What has been your biggest or most recent realization about yourself as a writer? Do you have one?
Somebody play the Jeopardy theme.
Yeah. We'll wait until someone else is ready to answer. I'm trying to think, that's what I keep going back to, like the deadlines thing, but it has really been within this past year, I feel like, that I've realized how to set deadlines that were achievable for me. I've truly learned myself now and how many days I need to take off or just scratch for the day. I'm actually excited to do a full NaNoWriMo again using that method. And we'll see how many words I need to write each day to do that.
I don't know when the last time was I actually just drafted a new story, because I have so many already that like I casually work on here and there. In the same vein of like scheduling, deadlining, I think probably what I have most recently figured out about myself as a writer is that I should not set long-term goals. Short-term goals are better. Short-term goals, English, are better for me because I get upset if I don't reach the short-term goals. If I get too far behind, and then I just give up. So if I set a short-term goal and I've just got the one and I don't reach it, it's fine. I just push it a little bit or set a new goal. Yeah. Whereas if I have like a year's worth of goals and I'm on month 2 and I'm already like 6 months behind, I don't know how you could be 6 months behind when you're on month 2, but you know what I mean? I'm just going to give up because I've got a whole year's worth of goals that are off and I'm going to be upset.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I remember Brooke by the Brook. She made a video ages ago. It has been years, but I remember watching it because she was doing literally that. She's like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up the entire book's length and where it'll take me for the whole year and like set specific goals each month. And then of course, when it comes to like the second month and she's not achieved, you realize just how far behind you can get in this whole process because the process is so long that it again, demoralizing if the goals are not set correctly. I learned that I'm a headlights writer. I don't plot. I don't pants. I can only see as far as the color headlights of my story. Yes. I love that term. I also know that for myself, I need weekly goals and long-term goals, but not daily goals. Oh, that's interesting.
Fair.
I need my sister's input on my stories sometimes. It's nice when you have that kind of alpha reader like immediately there and be like, okay, I need some feedback. It's great when you can find one of those that you trust and appreciate. I'm a binge writer. Deadlines are always for me. I want to expand my horizon of what content and topics I delve into in my stories. That's awesome. You're like, I'm just going to write more things, different things. Victoria realized that they are good at writing really sad poems that make people cry, but is allowed to write something else too. Absolutely. I always wonder for the people that are, especially like indie authors where they're really, really popular for one thing. And like in the romance world, you're often putting out books pretty often if you're that level of popularity. I always wonder if they feel locked in, because at that point, you're having to write so much so quickly that you don't really have time necessarily to write other stuff. And I'm like, but do you want to sometimes?
That sounds like a great plot for a romance book, Kate.
Let's see.
Of the two of us, which one has actually taken time to write romance? That'd be you.
Well, you just need to try something new. Do the romance, Jess. I know you can.
Can I finish the book we're on first?
No.
No, you cannot.
What is your favorite thing you've written recently? Rachel Wrights asked this one. So if you want to check out Rachel Wrights, I did put people in parentheses if I knew who asked it and it was not random. Rachel Wrights asked this one.
My favorite thing I've written recently?
Yeah. You wrote 10,000 plus words recently.
Ooh. My lunch order.
I need you to stop. Immediately stop.
The handwritten directions I wrote so that I wouldn't get lost and then got lost. I don't know. God, that's tough. Okay, my favorite thing that I've written recently, which will make anyone who was with me in Pennsylvania die laughing. So I'm going to tell you guys more about my story than I just told you. Essentially, there's a death omen / doppelganger character. And when she goes to a town to collect a soul, she, because I get all of my plot devices from Vampire Diaries, usually stays in like a abandoned house because she's got to stay somewhere. And why would she pay for a hotel when she could just stay in an abandoned house that she can use magic to cloak herself in? In this town, because it's in our current housing market, the only place is like this really like gross hovel that is basically condemned. And as she's like walking through the house, the words that come out of her mouth are, "Damn these low interest rates." That's my favorite thing I've written recently.
That's a pretty great one. That's
Damn
good.
these low interest rates.
I feel it. Jess is a whole vibe right now and always. Yes. Amanda wrote a toga party sequence that brought me a lot of joy and giggles. Yes. I love the
As a horror writer, a toga party scene that brought you joy and giggles?
Amanda, we're scared. We're scared.
I have questions.
I love the first chapter I drafted of this trilogy in second person. Ooh. Some fun banter between the couple. I feel like my answer to this is always just banter. It's just like, that's my favorite thing about writing, is just having my
funny lines.
Yes. I recently rewrote a chapter in editing phase that went from being my least favorite chapter to one of the best in the whole book. That is the goal of editing. That is when you know you've done it right. You're like,
absolutely.
Here, and I brought it here. Yes. I recently made a screenplay into a 14,000 word short story. That is very cool. We got people writing scripts for upcoming videos they really like. A main character who eats people but is still the hero.
I have questions.
I do too. Is it like iZombie, or is it like...
Do they only eat like serial killers to get rid of the serial killers? Like, I have questions.
Right. Or do they only eat other cannibals? Because that would be like Dexter, but eating people. Which, you know.
You're not wrong.
I just wrote the first chapter in my second book. It's a character I am not like at all, so it was fun to get into her head. Absolutely. Let's see. Okay, this one's a question that gets asked a lot. Barrett asked this one on Instagram. You can see Barrett's channel. And Barrett actually made a post on Instagram about a little bit about this when he's documenting kind of his Crohn's disease and how that makes life insane sometimes too.
And they're also moving right now.
Yeah. Oh, poor Barrett. It's just anyone who's ever moving, I'm like, you have all of my sympathies.
All of the sympathies. No, don't tell me I'm echoing, Miranda.
I would love to see something pitched as that, though. Oh my gosh. Yeah, how do you stay motivated to write when life gets insane, Jess?
I don't.
Okay, that was gonna be my answer too. It's like I just don't write then.
I don't. Here's the thing. My life does not often get insane because I don't have a partner. I don't have children. I have 3 dogs and a cat. And so, like, it takes a lot for my life to get insane. And so when it does, it's so bad that I'm not doing anything. Like, I mean, there are people who, like, maybe their kids are in like 15 different sports and you're just running them all over the world. And it's like maybe they are able to get in some writing time or something. But like for me, it's like, oh, hey, you know what would be fun? It would be really fun if your sister got cancer and had to move into your house and she brought her daughter with her too and she's 15 and you have to deal with a 15-year-old and oh, by the way, your sister died. Now you have to deal with this. And then I'm just like, I guess I'm not writing anymore. I guess we're over. I guess it's done. So when life gives you lemons, take a break.
Yeah. Yes. The true answer. And looped in with that, Morgan was saying my physical mental health determines what I can or can't do. And I know for me, when things are like, when they are exhausting, even just physically, when you're having to run around a lot of places or you're moving or whatever, I find that mentally draining as well. Even though you'd think you're like, well, I'm not writing, I'm not using a bunch of my brain or whatever to do this, but like, it's just, yeah, it's tough. That is an exhausting time. And I think it's okay. The best thing you can do for yourself then is just give yourself that break. It's okay to not get anything done right now. And that is life. I had a rough time earlier this year with death, lawsuits, and illness. When life got insane, I read books and watched movies to fill my creative well. It works really well. Yeah, I think that, or like, I know, Jess, you did some comfort rereads, comfort rewatches, and that is still, it's like helping you soothe yourself, but also filling the well so that when you do feel like you can get back to it.
I needed entertainment but could not handle new trauma. So I had to read and watch things that had already traumatized me.
You knew where to expect it.
Yes.
Christian saying I built in plenty of buffer and break time in my publication schedule for that reason. I was editing a video about my WIP and it made me remember how much I loved it and was back into the story after going on vacation. Let's see. Okay, this was Rosalind's question. I don't know if Rosalind's still with us. How do you find an audience in very specific niches? If anyone has experience with that. I would argue that the fact that we're all in AuthorTube, which is a very specific niche itself, means that we all have at least some experience with this.
I think the answer is that you don't.
I would
argue.
They find you. Right. They find you. Yeah. Or I'd argue you gotta hang out in those spaces. Yes. I would say too. I think that's like the best marketing. Yeah. You find a community.
You don't find an audience, you find a community. And I also think that, I mean, if we're talking actual logistics, tagging things can help. Like tagging things appropriately, so that people who are searching for that thing can find you is really the only thing that you can actually do. And be authentic. Because if you're not authentic, people are going to watch you and be like, this is the hokiest person I've ever seen in my life. And I have no interest in watching this. So even if they find you, they're not going to stay.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the thing where we talk about, like, how do you make friends in AuthorTube? You show up. You comment in people's, actually watch their video and then make a comment that actually has something to do with the video that you just watched. Not, hey, be my friend. And if you follow me, I'll follow you too. Like, not that. Don't do that. Don't be that asshole. But like, I think that's the only way to find an audience is to be part of the crowd.
Yeah, no, I agree. Every time I try to find a specific niche genres in their audience, I end up lost in other random communities, so I don't know where my audiences all hang out.
Also, if you are looking for a specific genre, if you find a booktuber or an author tuber who has a similar reading taste as you, you can always be friends with them and ask them if there's specific people that they would recommend for what you're looking for. Find people who have been around for a while.
That's a
Find
great
the
point.
ancients.
Yeah,
Ask
I
them for help.
have some people on Goodreads where it's I've basically I'll see them pop up on some of the books I've read and like repeatedly. So anytime I see them now, I know I can trust their opinion. Or even it could be vice versa, book specific, where it's like this person loved this book, but I just know our tastes now, and I'm like, well, then I will hate it. So it's yes. I do think going back to that, if you were trying to find your niche of like readers, if you can find the booktuber, they can either recommend you more people and or hang out in there, get to know them, be friends with them. Like you can do it. I assume to find other people who've been successful in the niche and branch out into other media that said niche already loves. Yes. I'm just happy that I have a community that writes in various niches. When I realize my book later this year, I can only put it in the right categories and have it there for readers to find. Yes. Let's move to, we have just a few questions left. What is your favorite and least favorite social media platform as a writer?
Twitter. Least favorite.
Yeah.
Hate it.
Yeah.
It's a dumpster fire. I've been told that it can be beneficial as a writer. I don't know what the benefit is currently, but I don't think it's worth it.
You know what? I'm at this point, because I don't have Twitter, I can't even say that it's my least favorite because I just don't use it. But my friend and my co-writer does use it. And so she acts as like my personal curator for the good stuff, which is like if you can find yourself someone who's still willing to put up with Twitter and has your taste, amazing. So all I get from Twitter is the good stuff now, and it is fabulous. Where I'm like, oh, there is good stuff on Twitter. Not enough for me to come back to it, but there is good stuff.
Yes. I also am not a TikTok fan. I'm also not a Facebook fan. I'm really not a fan of social media at all, but that's because I'm old.
I feel like we're limiting like the social media that I use, just like Instagram, and even then I don't use it as much as I used to. YouTube if you count it, and Reddit if you count it, and even then I just like I prefer watching other people's stuff. Also, thank you, Seti, for the super sticker, which looks like birds on the actual thing. I don't know, but lots of people saying Twitter is the least favorite.
I mean, YouTube is my favorite. I pay for YouTube Premium so I don't have to watch ads. Because this is where I spend the majority of my time. Watching YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Making YouTube videos, being here. Instagram. Instagram stories, yes, I make those all the time. Not the ones I should be making, like updates on books I'm reading or how I'm writing. No, I just share social commentary posts. That's it. My news feed is legitimately, or not my news feed, what is that thing called? My post feed? I don't know, whatever it is. It's literally like a write-a-thon post, 2 posts from earlier this year when I was taking a break, and then like last September.
Yeah.
No, I don't actually put photos on Instagram. I should, I think.
I know, but are we doing photos anymore, or are we doing videos and reels, Jessica?
Well, I want you to know that I made a reel last weekish. You want to talk about like the algorithm being The cruelest of mistresses. Let's look and see
What?
what my views are currently. 6,705 views on a reel. I don't
Just
even
that.
have, I mean, I have 1,000 followers on Instagram. Like, it's my second highest place of things. But like, most of my stories are only viewed like 40 times. So 6,700 views on my one reel is unreal. And so I'm just like, is there like something to this real thing? Is that how we become popular?
I
Do I want to be popular? I don't know. I wanna be the
Ooh.
most popular girl. Dun, 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 dun. And that was your Teen Witch song for the day.
We appreciate. I did just watch your reel twice. Now it might be 6,707 or whatever number you said earlier, +2. But by the way it's going, maybe other people have watched it. Like, so it's +20 now. Dang. See, look at this. I like TikTok only for cute animals.
I am, that is like my Instagram reel is like I scroll through for cute animals and funny things, but I end up getting stuck in, oh god. I end up getting stuck in like the social commentary thing. But you want to talk about algorithms that suck. This is not what we're actually talking about, but because we're here and I'm just going to say it.
We're here.
My YouTube shorts. Do you get like weird random things on YouTube shorts
I don't think
or
it's all related to who the rest of your targeted, like, recommended videos are. I cannot see a correlation.
my entire YouTube shorts is conservative, Republican, like hardcore. I don't even scroll through it anymore because I get so angry.
It is just seeing your location. I don't know why they don't have the algorithm turned on for that. That's so dumb. It's literally
Oh yeah,
just
they're like, you're in the middle of BFE, Ohio, surrounded by a bunch of white supremacists. You know what we should give you?
that's
All of
literally what
these
it is.
TikTok or all of these YouTube shorts.
I'm
No,
convinced.
thank you.
We will pivot real quick. Taylor asks, currently writing a sequel, any advice for people that are both planning sequels in the future, maybe?
Currently writing a sequel. Any advice?
Taylor,
My
is it
advice
1 and
is
2 or 1, 2, 3?
my advice is to go to the internet, go to susandennard.com, go to For Writers, and then go to the section that's about writing sequels or writing series. I haven't used it yet because I haven't got to a sequel, but Susan Dennard's writing advice has never led me wrong yet. So
She's
that's
one
my
of the few people that when I get something in my inbox from her, I'm like, oh, yay. You know, like a lot of stuff that you get in your inbox, you're like, it's kind of like spam in your actual physical mailbox where you're like, this is just trash and I don't want it. But when I get something from her, it's like a shiny gold letter in the mail. I'm just like, yes, yay.
because there's always
Like,
something in it that's useful.
it is. Yeah, it's great. I would agree with that. And actually, when I go to work on sequels, I need to revisit her advice as well. I make sequels based on ideas I couldn't fit in the first book. Oh, yeah. I was trying to think of my Meridian Maps, my pirate series when I was thinking of the sequel. I knew some of it was because the emotional arc of the characters needs to grow for longer. So I always knew it would be a sequel or a series. That's always how I imagined it. But then after that, once you realize that and you're looking at book 2, 3, 4, 5, or at least 2, 3, 4, I was like, ooh, now I just get to play with like pirate tropes and like, what do I want to do here? And like, what world do I want to create? So it was kind of just like getting to do all of the things. It's easy to use it as a pawn instead of an actual work on its own.
Absolutely. Second book syndrome.
I know that is truly the scary part is the second book, or even just like the middle dip. I know there's a lot of fantasy books that have that middle dip pretty bad, or fantasy series, I should say. We are Team Susan Dennard. Do you have anything that you wish you knew before starting your writing career and you may determine how you define writing career?
Well, in 2008, I think it was 2008. Please remember I'm old. Is when I first started querying my adult high fantasy. At the time, I didn't know that, like, I didn't know about beta readers. I didn't know about, like, revision. Like, I just thought, I mean, because, again, I'm old school. I thought you just, like, wrote the book and then, like, went through and fixed, like, your continuation errors in your grammar, and then you, like, looked for an agent. This is how I thought things worked. That is not how things worked. So, things I wish I knew before was all of the things.
Yeah. It's hard because when I first started writing, I've been writing since I was a kid, and I always knew I wanted to be a writer. And I think, like, at the time, self-publishing wasn't a thing, so I didn't even know to, like, think about that as an option, which is a different process in some respects than the trad pub avenue. So if I could have learned that sooner, that would have been great. Would have considered it. I also think I do have a lot of journals from when I was a teenager, and all of them, at some point in there, I'm like, and I'm going to finish my book by this age, and I will have done this by this. And so it's just this constant plague of thinking that I needed to do stuff before I was like, I needed to be one of those writers who got a book deal when she was like in her teens still. And then I needed to be one who was like, got a book deal when she was still in college, and like all this stuff, which does happen to some people, but not everyone. Not most people. Who are these people? Go away. Hide user. Okay. I'm getting rid of spam. I'm trying to get rid of spam.
Well, I wish that the photo also went away, but it doesn't.
Oh no. Jesus Christ. Anyways, the point being, I wish I would have just been way more chill about it, which is an unfortunate thing that, like, I think if you tried to give advice to someone that age now, I don't know if they would take it. I don't know if teen me would have taken it either. But yeah, I just wish I would have chilled out about things. It's okay. It's a long process. It'll happen eventually.
Someone asked about where to find beta readers, and Zara very kindly answered about Discord groups, writing websites, communities, etc. I just shared the link for our Discord server for the Worldwide Write-a-thon, which is a community event that I host 3 times a year with my friend Sam. And that is the community server. So it is somewhat active all year long, but there's also things on there for like beta readers, alpha readers, critique partners, all of that. So there's things there that you can peruse. Self-promotion. That's how you make it in the real world.
True, though. Jess, this was actually a question that I did not add to the list, but did you ever have an issue with comparing yourself to other writers, and how did you get out of that? If you did. Maybe you never did.
I don't think comparing yourself to other writers is a problem. I think comparing yourself to other writers is a good way to look at your writing process as a whole, as far as like, if you look at something and you're like, I could never write like this, it's because people have different styles of writing. And so you're probably right. You probably never will write like that because that's not your writing style. If it is a style you want to aspire to, you can practice. And so I think comparing yourself to other writers is either a non comparison or a way to make yourself work better, try harder, whatever the word is I'm looking for there. I think it's a motivational thing versus I want to give up because I'll never be this good. For me, it's a motivational thing.
Yeah, that's a much better way of looking at it. I sometimes wish I could have framed that in my mind earlier. What I do like to do is remind myself of, in a terrible way, of the famous, hugely popular best-selling authors whose works that I actually don't like, just to remind myself that like, and there's no point in comparing because we all like different things, and someone will like mine the way I like this person's, or vice versa, you know? Like, I think Holly Black, what she's done is incredible, and I admire her career. I have attempted multiple books of hers, and none of them have worked for me, but you see how popular they are, and you see how they resonate with people, and how some of her books are like people's favorite books of all time. And I'm like, you know what? That's just like, that's proof, you know? So anyways, it helps me to think about that.
I also think the key thing to remember when Kate and I discuss looking at things as a positive rather than a negative is that that's a thing that happens in your late 20s and your early 30s. If you're in your early 20s, you're probably not there yet.
Yeah, it is tough. It goes back to, I wish I could tell myself this stuff. And maybe other people have these epiphanies at different times in their life. But I know even if I told myself this in my early 20s, it wouldn't have mattered because I wouldn't have gotten it. You know, someone in their early 20s here might already have realized this, but we all got to realize things at our own pace. And I wish that was, but alas, do the best you can at the time. Your second, third plus books will always be better than your first. And yeah, your fifth or sixth are going to be better than your second, third. And like, it just keeps going. Sam is home. That there will be people who do and don't like our writing, and using popular authors as examples, for sure. Okay, we really are almost done. This is the question I was trying to find earlier. What's the longest you've gone without writing? And at that time, did you still consider yourself a writer?
I don't know what the longest time is that I've gone without writing, because I've written since I was a kid, different things, different times. I did a lot of poetry when I was younger. I did music when I was in my late teens, early 20s. Now I do books. So I've always written something. So like if I took time off, it was like, you know, a few months because life got stupid. I think I've always considered myself a writer, even if it's not for other people's eyes or for other people to experience. I still have always considered myself a writer because it's a thing that I do that I enjoy.
Yeah, no, I think that's the perfect answer. And I agree. It's something I do, I enjoy. And even if I'm not currently doing it, or I haven't done it for several months, it's one of those things that I know I'll always come back to. And I think the longest gap I had was when I was working my corporate job. I always participated in NaNoWriMo during my corporate jobs. And I think I would try during camp, but there would definitely be like chunks in there. And then there would be days that I wrote every day for a while. So I think that was the longest stint, though. And I'd probably say around 4+ months too, that I wasn't writing.
I mean, I used to do, and still occasionally do, crochet. I like to make baby blankets. I haven't made one for 2 years, but I'm not going to ever be like, well, I'm not a crocheter.
Right.
Well, I am. I do. I'm just not doing it right this second.
Right now. Right.
No one's having a baby right now, so I haven't had to make any blankets.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be your career. You can do it for fun as a procrastination project, even if you want to tripod one day. Yeah, that's the great thing about writing, is that it's not like Oh, see, Miller's going to say it better than I was about to. I think labeling is one of the ways capitalism commodifies professions and justifies things over education. I think labeling, if it helps you, that's great, use it. If it doesn't help you or makes you feel bad, then don't do it. I got severely burnt out, so it's been 2 years and I'm back at it. Yeah. And you were a writer all that while. I think the interesting thing about writing is that even if we're not physically writing, like typing on the keys or like writing it down, I think a lot of us are still imagining the stories in our head and are kind of piecing it together. So you're still always kind of writing in that way. And that work absolutely has to get done before or during the process of putting it on the page anyways. So, okay, 2 more.
I'm ready.
What is the bookish pet peeve that you somehow find yourself putting in your own stories as well? Do you have one?
I mean, I definitely have bookish pet peeves. I have things that will make me instantaneously DNF a book. I don't think I've ever put any of those in my book. Typically, I think that most things that people have pet peeves about, again, this is because I'm old, is like specific tropes. I think they can be done right. I just think they usually aren't. So most things I don't have like an immediate hate for. But the one that I hate is like when it's a romance and there's a bet on a relationship. I hate it. I can't stand it. It makes me want to like just immediately stop reading the book.
I feel like that was so early 2000s rom-coms where there were so many of them that had that premise. Where there was like
I just read one this
Did
month.
you? Okay.
And I finished the book because everyone told me how much they loved the book. So.
Well, what did you think of it by the time you finished?
It was okay.
It was okay? Okay, yeah.
I will not be continuing the series.
Oh my God. Setting using figured when characters are holding things. That's
yeah, I'm with you. Let's not do that.
Let's not.
let's not use that terminology.
You know what? And I have read that before though, so I feel like self-inserts. Maybe I'll grow out of that. I feel like in some ways, maybe not our full selves, but we're always giving certain characters little bits of us. Do you use the trope, Jess? Have you written it?
No.
Oh.
And if you ever catch me using a bet as a romance plot, please know that I have been kidnapped and I need help.
It is an alien. The aliens are back. They have the warning sounds.
I have been kidnapped. Please send the FBI.
Mm-hmm. Smirking. I'm trying to think of. Now I'm just thinking of the things that I use that I get mad when I read them, like my crutch words. I use just a lot, and my characters nod so much. They're like bobbleheads, and it really annoys me. But when I think about it, I nod a lot when I'm talking or when I'm listening to people. Yeah.
Oh, I do too.
Right. And so, but it's annoying to read. I'm like, this is the part of making like what you're writing realistic, but also not, where it's like, well, I don't need to know that they nodded every time. Naming the bad girl medicine and giving her colored hair, apparently. That's what makes you evil. This one has been so trope or like made fun of to death, even though I still like that. She let out a breath she didn't even know she was holding.
I read one. I've read a lot in the last couple of months. But literally it said it's because you're like in her mind, and she said she let out a breath. She said, I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding, which I have been giving books a hard time for, and I didn't really know was possible. And I'm just like, I love it. I love when you like put the thing in and then make it funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It elevates it back again. It's okay again then. Yeah, for sure.
You're like, all right, it can slide. Let's do it.
Character size are fine, but too many of them get annoying. Oh, my characters glance, look, peek, peer, tremendous number. For real though. Mm-hmm. Yes. Podcast episode out today. We chatted for hours. Let's see. I use character size as a crutch. I know. I need to. Same. Okay, last question. This is one from Ashley. And I think we've talked about this a little bit recently-ish, but at what point do you consider stories ready for feedback? When do you consider them ready to query? And for those who are self-pub, when do you consider them ready for publication?
Ooh, I heard the feedback that time. Feedback. I said feedback twice in two different versions in the same sentence. Okay. When is a story ready for feedback? I think is when, like, I've written the whole thing and I've gone through it once myself and tried to like fix things that didn't make sense in a way, and I'm ready to have someone look at it and go, does this story make sense? What is it missing? Should I keep writing it or should I move on to something else? When is it ready to query? I don't know, because I've only queried one book, and that was in 2008, and it clearly was not ready. I would say if I query French Grim Reaper, so Kate's going to get it another time, and then I'll do another round of edits, and then it will be going to some Trouble Friends, and then I will edit it again, and then I might do like open beta readers, or I might query from there, depending on how I feel where it's at the time. How do I know when it's ready? I feel like it's just one of those things, like you just know. It's like baking. You know, when you bake bread and they're like, how much water do you put in? You'll just know. I feel like it's one of those things.
Yeah. At what point do I consider the stories ready for feedback? It's been like, I know there's an issue, but like I've done all I can and can't quite figure out what it is yet. Does that make sense? Where I'm like, I know there's stuff wrong, but I don't think I could fully tell you exactly what it, like I need some other eyes on it. That's when it's time for feedback. I am thinking for query, I'm about at the same place Jess is, where it's like, she's going to get it one more time. I'm probably going to send it to a couple others after I do edits from her feedback. And then there, it's like, do I need to do another round of that, or am I okay to query it from here? And then ready for a publication. That's what Regina talked about, editor's suggestions and things like that. So after that is really when it's like, it's time. Lindsay's here. For those,
there's a wild Lindsay in the chat.
There's a wild Lindsay. For me, feedback equals good as I can make it. Query is good as CP's, betas that I can make it better. Yes, absolutely. So, Abigail, when I'm tired of reading my own stuff and it doesn't inspire any new fixes or ideas, I usually send it to betas once I've had my story read to me via audio software. I love having that as a step in the process. Publication for self-pub, I set a deadline so I couldn't beat the story into the ground, and I stuck to the deadline. When any edits that can be made to the novel wouldn't make the book any better, and you get the feeling that it's done. Yeah, there is a certain point you come to when you start just like nitpicking things, and you realize that the nitpicking is not like making a difference. It's just kind of things you could do or change or substitute, like they're almost equal substitutions. That's when it's like, okay, well, you've done it. All right. I think that is the end of our 20 questions, not the game, but just how many I had typed out.
Just happened to have 20 questions lying around.
Happened to have them. Let's see, Jess, do you have any other questions that you've been dying to ask your fellow writers that you do not already ask?
Questions I've been dying to ask my fellow writers.
Yes.
Not that I know of.
All right. It is 20 questions in reverse, Elizabeth. Yes. Well, I had a phenomenal time with you all. Thank you for hanging out and answering all of these questions. And once again, the AuthorTube Chat book club pick that we will be discussing next month is The Count of Monte Cristo. So a classic, adventure, revenge tale, all of the fun things. And you get to say that you might have read the longest book you've ever read. So that is fun. It is certainly the longest book I'll have ever read.
Also,
Yes.
if you want to hang out with us and this book is too much beefy for you, there are abridged versions, and I'm not going to gatekeep you for reading an abridged version.
We do not judge. Right.
We don't judge.
Also, it's worth saying that we will have an actual topic next time. I will pick one topic instead of all of them. Lindsay is saying, best movie ever. We might have to do a reading and then watching. We only discuss the book really in the back half of the chat. So if you're like, I'm here for the topic, but not here for the book yet, you can come join us for the topic and then peace out. So thank you all for joining us. If you want to find more of Jess, she is linked in the description down below. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you all very soon.